Julia Fox's new memoir, Down the Drain, is literally my favorite 2023 book. Honestly, I could not wait to film this video. I wanted so bad to talk about this book because I've been obsessed with her memoir for a whole week now. And there's not enough content on the internet for me to feel like I've had a fruitful conversation with anyone. There's literally just two vlogs about Julia Fox's memoir, and that's it. Maybe a few like New York Times and like a few very professional reviews, but no one is actually talking about it. And I wonder why. Is it because she's now considered like a big class celebrity, or is this book too full of taboos and too problematic for people to keep talking about it? But whatever it is, I am dying to talk about Julia Fox's new memoir. So, I'm an advocate of memoirs. I love reading memoirs in general. I read Amy Poehler's memoir, I read Carrie Fisher's two memoirs, I read Bryan Cranston's memoir, I read Janet McCarthy's memoir. I read The Disaster Artist by Greg Sestero. I've read a lot of memoirs, but I've fallen out of love with memoirs because when you read a lot of them, you start to understand that most of them are ghost written. Most of them are very biased, and most of them are so generic and robotic in their writing. There is no way these words came out of this person. It's just, you can see how it's written by someone else, and this is something that will completely ruin the reading experience for me. So I've heard about Julia Fox's memoir like a year ago, or when like her viral clips of this is actually a masterpiece, and I actually did it myself. Like all of these memes when they went viral.
Oh my God, my book, of course.
Tell me.
Yeah.
Tell me about the book.
Well, I don't want to give too much of it away because I'm very superstitious, so I don't like to speak of things before they're finished. But it's so far a masterpiece, if I do say so myself. So
Actually did it myself. Yeah.
Nice.
Thank you.
I didn't realize that I had subconsciously created some sort of an opinion about this book already. I felt like someone like her is just clinging onto an opportunity. She just want to make some quick cash, and she's just gonna tell you a bunch of stories here and there, and mostly it's gonna be about Kanye West because that's the selling point of the book. And I felt a little bit disgusted towards this idea. I felt like this is gonna be a cheaply made, ghost written book that no one will care about. But it will quickly be a New York Times bestseller, and it will quickly make her some money. And these types of projects I do not stand by. I don't want to read this stuff. When her book actually came out, I was not so interested in reading it. I felt like, who cares? And based on all of what I just said, I just felt like I don't want to waste my time reading something that is not going to be that good. But boy, was I wrong, and thank God that I did not take this route and I actually gave her book a chance. This memoir, I kid you not, you should literally just drop everything that you're doing and read it because it is insane. It's literally so surprising that no one is talking about this book. This is a masterpiece. Like for real. This book is not ghost written. This is 100% the narrative and the voice of Julia Fox throughout the entirety of the book. This book is not about Kanye West, is not about Kim Kardashian, is not about this drama. Actually, only the last chapter of the book is about Kanye West, and she names him the artist, not Kanye West. What makes this book actually special is that Julia Fox had something to say. And this something is not a cash grab or a juicy thing to say about Kanye West. No, actually, she has dedicated 99% of the book to tell her own story, and only the last chapter to talk about her relationship with Kanye because it's part of her story, but not because she wants to sell her book as that. I saw a lot of interviews about this book, and people are actually so rude. Interviewers are rude because clearly they haven't read her book, and clearly the only thing they want to talk about is Kanye West, and she is fed up with this. She doesn't want to answer these types of questions. So when an interviewer actually just has a glimpse of an opinion about her book and she feels that he has read it, she gets so excited because she wants people to talk about her story.
When I read the last chapter of the book, or like maybe it's the second last chapter of the book, which is about your your relationship with Kanye West. You call him the artist in the book. I'll just say right now, I'm not interested in asking you anything of the particulars of your relationship. Like,
Thank you.
It's not out of some like moralisticness on me. It's just like that's
It's so boring. It's so over and done with. It's so irrelevant. It's like it's a 330 page book and he's in like 5 pages and that's all anyone wants to talk about. And it's like, dude, he's like, I swear, I promise. He's the least interesting part of the book, you know?
Yeah. The
you
book
try telling people that, man, they do not want to hear that.
Unlike any of the memoirs that I've read, Julia Fox's story didn't actually start with fame. She didn't actually build her story from the moment she was famous up until that point. Like, for example, Carrie Fisher's Memoir, which mostly takes place on the set of Star Wars, or Amy Poehler, mostly taking place in several movie sets and in Parks and Recreation, or Bryan Cranston, who talks about Breaking Bad, or Matthew Perry, who talks about Friends. No, Julia Fox's story starts and ends actually way before she's famous. This woman has lived over like 40 lifetimes, like for real. I was reading the blurb of the book and I was thinking to myself, this book will never live up to this blurb. Are you kidding me? There is no way anyone has ever lived all of these things in the blurb in one lifetime. This is insane.
You're a survivor.
Yeah, like I actually should have been dead like 10 times over. There's one thing that I'm sure of is that I'm just not ashamed of it. The only difference is that I'm here and I'm alive and I can tell my story.
But literally the blurb was downplaying what she has been through. Like, can you imagine? Now, let's talk about Julia Fox. A lot of people surprisingly don't know who Julia Fox is. Julia Fox is an Italian-American model who is known for her breakthrough role in Uncut Gems by the Safdie brothers and starring Adam Sandler. Later on, she dated Kanye West for only 1 month, but that alone turned her life upside down. Because after that, her name had become more and more popular and famous between people, and she'd started modeling and being the face of so many huge brands. What I'm trying to say is Julia Fox is not a Nepo baby. She's not born into a family where her father and mother are extremely famous and rich, and she has all these opportunities to exist in the Hollywood scene. On the complete opposite, every single thing that happened in Julia Fox's life is a reason to completely ruin someone's life. This woman has had more than 4 near-death experiences. She has had multiple abortions. She has been through major drug abuse, alcohol abuse. She was in toxic relationships. She was physically, emotionally, literally mentally abused. She was born into a neglected family. Her dad used to lock her in the bathroom. She wouldn't see her mother for years. She ran away from home so many times, which made her be a part of a family group that was really toxic and really dangerous. She was dating literally a criminal who was later locked up in jail. Oh my god, this is just too specific to be made up. This is insane. All of these things is making a recipe of a failure of a person. But Julia Fox learned how to get herself back up again, learned how to be the best version of herself every time she wakes up from a downfall. She is fierce. She clings her way up to the top. Literally, Down the Drain is a love story between Julia Fox and Julia Fox. It takes a lot of courage and respect to admit all of the awful things that are in the book. I felt so much respect towards her because she's such a strong person. I'm telling you, the stories in this book are so unapologetically written and so honest, which makes her very vulnerable. It takes a lot of courage and a lot of self-love and confidence to know that you don't have to tell these stories, but you actually choose to tell them to teach people, not to go to a similar life path.
What do you hope readers take away from this book and your story? Do you want them to be upset for you, or
No, I hate when people feel bad for me. But I want people to just be encouraged. Like, wow, she went through all this stuff. She almost died. She went to jail. She did all these crazy things, and look at her now, you know? And I want that to be inspiring, and I want people to know you can always change your life, you know?
Which brings me to my next point. Julia Fox's book is actually very well written. I've read and heard that she wanted to be a writer from such a young age. But I thought everyone who's coming up with a book will tell you that I really wanted to be a writer and blah, blah, blah. But we all know that your book is probably ghostwritten. But really, Julia Fox is a good storyteller. She knows how to write. She knows how to make a compelling story. She's like a director. She knows where to start the scene, from which angle she wanna go by. She knows where's the hook. She knows how to conclude her story. She's just a good storyteller. And you can see from reading the book and analyzing it that throughout her life, she was not in control of her narrative. Her story was being told on everybody's tongue in the worst way possible. And as she said in the book that she wanted to write a book and name it as one of the insults that someone has told her before. So someone literally told her, "You are throwing your life down the drain," and from here, "Down the Drain," the title was born. This is her way to kind of take the grip of the narrative, to be in control of her story, to tell people, you don't have to dig through my past and make me feel like I have so many secrets that I don't want to be revealed. Actually, no. I will tell my secrets. I will tell my story in the most honest, and I'm not gonna say not biased, because of course every story is biased in some way or another. But honestly, I think she took a lot of length to be completely brutal and honest and harsh on herself. She's not asking you to forgive her or to be sympathetic towards her or anything. She's just telling you the story as it was.
Because then in your explanation, more people will then attack you. So there's this kind of like, because that's like the very like old way of thinking. And it's like, how does that translate in this new way of life where like you kind of are forced to confront things all the time and like you can't really turn a blind eye.
Someone like me who has had a very stable and normal childhood, just thinking about the things that she has been through, like honestly, this could ruin someone's life. Some people are suicidal because of the things that she has gone through. But this is why the redemption arc of Julia Fox, it's kind of very loose and metaphorical, because there's not actually a redemption arc throughout the book. But you could see this woman surviving. You could see this woman choosing herself again and again, learning how to choose herself. She saw her best friends ODing and dying in front of her while she was filming Uncut Gems. Yet she chose to channel this sadness and anger and confusion into an acting career. Instead of being so ashamed that she was a dominatrix or a stripper or whatever, she actually took these stories and said, these are the things that made me want to be an actress. She just teaches you to be tender and gentle on yourself. She learned to be tender on herself. She doesn't have to be so ashamed and full of guilt and so disgusted of her past. No, she takes this feelings and makes herself empowered by her own story, and thus empowering the reader. Because whatever you've been through, she has been through also horrible stuff, yet she made a name for herself. She's now a mother. She's now super rich. She is now a respected celebrity who has directed her own film and has a filmography of her own. And this is just the beginning. She just entered the scene a few years ago. It's just so refreshing to see a celebrity that is actually honest, to see the human behind the facade, to see beyond all the rumors, all the nasty stories, to see someone talking about themselves in an honest, non-glamoured way ever. I've had the best reading experience listening to Julia Fox narrating her own story. I seriously thought about rereading it back to back after finishing it, because I felt so attached to the human that Julia Fox is in the story. And she has forever changed the way I perceive her, the way I look at her, because now when I see her interviews, I don't see a plastic person who is there just because she was once Kanye's girlfriend. No. I see a fierce, strong woman who has been through a shitload of stuff throughout her life, who has clinged her way through the top, who has taken every single opportunity and maximized it, who has seen her best friends dying, who has been through a marriage and a divorce and birth, and she's now a mother. It's truly something to admire. And her story is something that I can't even perceive. It's something that I can't even see myself going through tenth of it. I encourage celebrities, if you are going to write a book about yourself, don't write ghost written words that no one wants to hear. Don't write generic stuff that you just want to sell and that's it. No. If you have a story, say it. And don't say it in a way that makes you the victim and makes other people the problem. No, Julia Fox said the story as it is. Sometimes throughout the book, you just think to yourself, oh my god, that's a horrible person. But then again, you think about what she has been through and you understand where she comes from. You understand where these action comes from. This is a human exercise. This is an exercise of humanity, of sympathy, to realize that you have to search in yourself for the sympathetic and human side to understand the character in the book. And for me, Julia Fox's story is such an empowering story. It teaches you that whatever you've been through, you will get an opportunity in life. But when this opportunity comes by, you have to be ready, you have to be present, you have to be on your best behavior. And if you're not, learn to be. Take this moment and start building yourself from there. And there will be a moment where things will align and there are always room for forgiveness with the world. No matter how harsh, horrible, gruesome life or fate has been to anyone, there will be a moment of serenity, there will be a moment of redemption, but you just have to be willing to take it. Julia Fox was literally homeless at some points in these books, several points throughout the book, but now she chooses to mother her child in such a tender and more gentler ways than she was brought up as a child. As she says in interviews, there will always be room for forgiveness.
Read the book,